On this episode, we talk about some stuff that's real hard in the streets right now, but we're going to go back and forth on it and give you guys our take. But at the end of the episode, we talk about how to get through mistakes, how to manage expectations, and how we believe we have, ascended this ladder to success through not being taking a lot of value on mistakes. I mean, at the end of the day, that is so big, Johnny.
Yeah, listen, nobody's going to stop making mistakes. We got here making mistakes, and hopefully we'll keep progressing, making mistakes, and everyone listening makes mistakes. It's really how you deal with your mistakes, right? And then how you push forward and what you view as a mistake. But either way, from every angle, I think we covered it to the best of our ability. And yes, this is definitely an interesting episode.
Oh, yeah, and I'll add this. I don't even really love what I just said before I handed it to you, so I'm going to call that a small mistake, but I'm going to keep it going. Let's go to the show.
Do it.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business and Biceps. And you better wake your ass up, because on today's show, man, we're going to talk about some crazy stuff going on out there, literally in the streets. We're going to talk about how to deal with failure and mistakes. And I just want to thank John Fosco for this amazing Masters hat I'm rocking today, because it was a gift from him.
Well, actually, you should be thanking Dominic Fosco, because
He stole it from your brother, right?
Dominic Fosco gave it to me after he went to the Masters, and I was like, wow, I really appreciate it. And then I know that you got really into golf. I never wore it, and I'm like, okay, you'll use it more than I will. Here you go.
And then is it true or false that Dom asked for it back?
Yes, he did. And I said, it's gone.
That's so good. So John, I've known John now, not only have we worked together for 5 or 6 years, but we worked together previously for a 5 or 6 year stint. I've never met his brother in person. We were in the same house, but he was in the shower when I came to your house the one time, and I still never met him because I left before he got out.
Yeah. That's amazing. He's known for his long showers. So
there you go.
I don't know what he's doing in there. But.
Super random. Shout out to Dom. All right. So Johnny, let's start off. Man, craziness going on, rightfully so. And a lot of, I mean, the George Floyd is just unbelievably sad. And man, it's like, from a business standpoint, we talked about before on the show, like there's a lot of businesses that are having to deal with this in the areas where there's heavy protests, and that it's like something you would never think about. But, I was thinking about if we own a business downtown in one of these cities and this is happening, how it could affect you for the length of the business. It could get completely burned down. It could be whatever, but it's like, and then on the flip side, the cycle that keeps happening of this just process, it's just so sad, man. I watched Killer Mike. I watched, who else? I watched Jimmy Kimmel. I've watched some just amazing, heart-wrenching speeches that, really spoke to me and Rachel. And we were watching these things over the last day or so, and what's happening in our city too, downtown Columbus. And bro, it's like I'm watching a different country, homie. It is so strange. And me, I don't really speak a lot about politics. I don't know as much, but this is just some human stuff that shouldn't be happening across the board. And it's frustrating. It's sad, man. It's just sad, dude. I just feel sad and I don't know how to fix it. You know what I mean? No one does really.
Yeah. I think there's so many layers here, but the first thing I would say with it is this one's serious, and I don't think we're nearing the end of it. I think the judicial system and systems of power, they make examples of people when they need to. And if I've ever seen an instance, you got to remember Rodney King sparked all these riots, and Rodney King did not die. He was beaten, and it was disgusting. It was terrible. But this man was slowly, painfully murdered, and it's on video, right? This isn't a report. If it was a report, it'd be bad. We've all seen it. So
I could only watch about a minute of it, man. I couldn't watch the whole thing, knowing what it just.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we need to make an example, rightfully so, of these 4 police officers, especially the one who had his knee on his throat, and this guy got charged with third-degree murder. Now, I really hope the people in power rethink that, because third-degree murder, you can plea that down, and before you know it, this guy's on house arrest. Third-degree murder only exists in 2 states, and it's going to keep, like, that's going to fuel the fire more. Like, how can a man kill another man and torture him and lynch him and get that? So I just hope that they say now is a time to make an example of these people, because these are not good people who committed these crimes. They're not good people. But that's that. And
Hey man, Killer Mike, which I know you're a huge fan of, Johnny. Sorry to break up, but I want to say, like, his speech was
perfect,
so touching, and like for him to come up and be like, "Yo, my dad's a cop, like my uncle's a cop, my brother's a cop," like he's like, "I don't want to be here for this." Like it was, and he's crying. It was just like, damn, like his Killer Mike just has such a big voice.
He's intelligent. Man. I mean,
he's so good, dude. And like seeing that, and then the way Jimmy Kimmel spoke about it, man, it's really, it's heart-wrenching, dude. Just sad.
It's systematic. And if you want to talk about Killer Mike, what I love about what he said, at least, and obviously I'm a big fan of him as well, but what he said, listen, nobody condones the burning and the looting, and we shouldn't mix up people who are protesting with people who use this to commit crimes. But he said, listen, like, I'm mad as hell, we're all mad as hell, but like, if you actually want to change something, you need to go home, you need to organize, you need to strategize, and we need to come together. Like period. He even told him, like, he told him, dude, fill out your damn census, so there's a record of you. All these things, so you can vote. Like, these are things that certain communities don't do, and it's why they're part of the reason why they feel powerless, right? Because you have to, our voices as Americans are at the ballot box, right? So I love what he said there. But here's the thing as it relates to business, Cory, is just like, okay, so if a mob comes towards a business we own and we see it coming, so if you're listening and you own a business in one of these cities that's currently having issues, or maybe a city that is not having issues yet, that may be in the next few days, what do you do? I mean, this is a real conversation, And I remember seeing videos from Rodney King, in Chinatown, of those dudes, like in Koreans posting up on the roof with ARs, just like, listen, dude, like, you can't come take what I've spent all this time to build. And I'm not saying that's the answer, but number one, that's what okay. If you don't have business insurance, get business insurance, and this is why, right? So we can't be vigilantes. We can protect what we've worked for, but I think there has to be certain levels, right? Because if we hear a cop shoot somebody for looting, right, and kill them, right, that's like, okay, so someone was stealing. Do you take someone's life for stealing, right? So I think as a business owner, if you're thinking, well, if you come fuck with my shit, you got to deal with my shotgun. I understand that. I totally understand that. But first, business insurance covers damages. Now, if you have things that you can never get back, listen, I think you should attempt to protect your property. Okay. But if you have a mob of 50 people, 70 people, it's not going to work.
It's impossible.
It's not going to work.
Yeah. I mean, straight up, John, if you and Jason and Jacob are down at CBD Social and this happens, you can only do so much. That, like you said, it's why we have insurance. Like, you have obviously plenty of guns. You're not going to like post up and have a war zone. No,
I mean, I would 100% be armed and try to keep people out by letting them know that.
Yeah.
And would I be opposed to, listen, yes, you don't take anyone's life for this stuff. But I think here, if you don't have business insurance and you're saying what you get it now for these reasons, because if someone someone looted and this and that, okay, guys, you get the money back. Of course, it takes time and it's a pain in the ass. But what's worse would be, pulling the trigger, taking somebody out, you know, dealing with the consequences that comes from that. I understand that feeling though. I really do. But I just think people need to, I think we just get knee jerk emotional when these things happen, and understand.
And so does people that were within mob. It's like literally called it like a mob mentality. It's like a, you know, everyone kind of takes on the same rage. And then as a group, a lot of people do things they wouldn't normally do. I mean, that everybody's hung out with a group of friends before that were irate or they got in a fight. And then all of a sudden there's 3 or 4. I mean, that you see that that's what happens. And when you got something that's this like heated, dude, people are going to act out of normal than what they would. It's just because people are angry and they should be angry. I'm fucking angry.
And
everyone is.
And they should be. And that's why, you know, back in the day, they would say, okay, you know, we're going to make a spectacle. We're going to take his head. This guy did bad things. It's like I plead to leaders. It's just like this guy who kneeled on him, take his head, take his fucking head. Literally, I don't mean cut it off. I just mean make an example of him and those other pussy ass fucking cops that were with him that stood by and let a man get fucking murdered. Make an example, because this thing's not going to stop. People have had enough. So you have to make an example, and they deserve it, right? A lot of times when you make an example of someone, you're doing it for many other reasons. Now, there are other reasons here, but these guys deserve it, man.
Yeah. Facts, Johnny. Craziness, bro. Craziness.
Nobody do anything stupid. That's all I would say. Don't do anything stupid. You know, get the insurance, because you don't want to be a vigilante.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to read the question verbatim just so we know what to go off of. We just came through one of the channels that said, "What's up, guys? I think a good topic to cover on the podcast would be to talk about mistakes, how to learn, adapt, overcome them, always ways to avoid, try to minimize the occurrence of them." And I appreciate y'all. Love the podcast. So I think that a lot of people, you know, overanalyze this sometimes, and they're so afraid to make mistakes. Obviously, some mistakes can be very detrimental to your business. But it's like, then they never really try to put themselves out there, which can also make it grow. So there's that weird. So when you hear that, John, is there like a relationship between those two, or is it really just being okay with making mistakes and then kind of falling forward, you know, as fail forward or whatever people kind of say, cliche, you know what I'm saying? What's your kind of take on that when you hear it?
Yeah. The first two things that popped into my head were like, okay, you have to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of the process. If we're talking about business, they're simply part of the process. Even when you do great things, right, on the path to do something great, releasing something great, providing something great, there's mistakes along the way. There's mistakes along the way. But I think what a lot of people do is they have this thought about themselves that they should live up to a certain level in their own heads. And if they make a mistake that they could easily just say, okay, got it, learn from that and push forward, they beat themselves up and they beat themselves up and they beat themselves up. And what happens is progress stops. And like, okay, just speaking from someone who's, you know, done a couple things and like everything I've tried to do in my life, there's mistake. They're marred with mistakes.
No one's gonna just lights out kill the program the whole way up, bro. It doesn't work that way.
Absolutely, it's marred with mistakes. But the expectation we put on ourselves to be like lights out, that's the problem. Like if you believe that you are, you know, a piece of shit, or you have low self-esteem because you didn't do something right, or time proved that you made a bad decision, that's not a reflection on you. That's your time. That's your time to learn and grow, because that's what this whole thing's about, is like, oh shit, okay, now I'm a smarter, wiser person because I did that. And I learned that it won't be done again. You know what I'm saying? So
not replaying, it's the key again.
Yeah, you're not a bad person if you fuck up. We all fuck up. It's just you can't be cavalier about it. You can't be like, oh, well, yeah, I fucked up. But no, you got to take it, and you have to learn from it. You have to identify it. But yeah, I mean, I would just open with just don't destroy yourself, but at the same time, take it seriously enough to learn from it.
Yeah. So I think that it's almost like I expect, and I don't know that I ever really thought the other way, because I know being in business early, like I made all kinds of mistakes at 19 and 20 years old, that just because you don't know anything. So I just expect that there's going to be some of that through the process of uncovering whatever you're attempting to make happen. So I think if your expectation is that you're going to do it with no mistakes, that's probably why you're kind of setting yourself up to have all these, like all this pressure cooker mentality. Like you should have the pressure to go execute and do things, but understand that the path is not just like this. It goes like this to get to the goal. And those little mistakes are the things you learn as you're off and you're back on, and then you go for a while and then it comes. I mean, it's just the nature of it. So I think that that's really like, a lot of young entrepreneurs, maybe their expectation of themselves to do X or is just not it's just not reality. It's just literally not reality. So when I would make mistakes, it's like, I'm fucking pissed that I do it. If I have a partner involved, I'll apologize. And then I'll just be like, next time I'm not going to do it. And, cause I made a mistake the other day on a formula on not catching something. And now it's going to push it back probably a week. And I was pissed about it. But then I know to ask that question next time, that I shouldn't have assumed that other person I was working with on the science team had that they did exactly what I was thinking, even though I thought it was an unsaid thing, but it wasn't an unsaid. I should have never assumed. So instead of us, now they rushed it, and it might actually not hold us back that long, but at the end of the day, it was a minor mistake that under assumptions, and it pissed me off. And I told John, I was like, I'm fucking mad about this because I should have known better. I should have known better to fucking, ask one extra question that then would have fixed this whole thing. But once again, that I'll never not ask that question again, especially in this area of what we're doing. So It's one of those things that, but instead of like, I fucking suck, this is never going to fucking work. I mean, that doesn't get you anywhere, but that's how people do it. I mean, that's what it is. The beat yourself up mentality. Like you can be mad, but you can't, you have to kind of drop it after that and move on.
So yeah, I mean, think about business and life. Who learns anything from succeeding? Like who learns actually anything from succeeding or having things go well? Like by nature, if things go well or you're succeeding, what you're doing is working, but whatever's working for you can always be taken to another level, as we all know in every aspect of life. So the lessons come in when you don't do something right and you figure out like, oh, okay, this thing that I did think was working has this flaw in it. So perspective is monstrous, because I love, I'm the last person that thinks I have it figured out, and I actually love to uncover things that I miss. I love it because I know myself, and I won't miss it again. Not to say that I don't miss things. Of course I do. But when I miss them and I understand them, I'm not going to miss them again, because they teach me a lesson that like, okay, you got to get tighter there. So I think perspective with making mistakes is everything, because if you go into something and you have a boss you look up to or whoever it is, and you're like, dude, I fucked up, and I let them down, and you're spending all this bullshit time on just going, woe is me, and nothing positive is coming from it, right? You're not gonna make it better next time you do it. So perspective is huge with mistakes, and they're not going to stop, and I'm going to keep making them, and everyone's going to keep making them. They're, just get out of the child mentality of bad, good, black, white.
I think it might be the way that we're educated, John, as kids. You know what I mean? Making mistakes is like in school, like you don't want to make a mistake because the teacher, or, getting bad. A lot of that kind of like reinforcement, it has to do with the way I think we come up a little bit, to be honest with you. Because there's like, like for instance, a lot of the questions you would probably ask with your mentality is, well, why do you do it like that? Or why is it this way, not that way? Like, but in the way that we're brought up, it's like, it's this way. It's black and white. You either get an A or a C, or it's like there's no middle area,
Very
which is
binary.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Very binary, which is not how business or entrepreneurship is at all. It's not just binary ever, right? There's so much like, kind of like white space in between where you're like, oh, it could go this way or that way, and I need to adapt. And the answer isn't binary all the time.
And you know what's interesting is like, here, I'll use this podcast as an example. Do you know how many people who think, oh, I made a mistake, and they could legit, and this isn't, not to prop me and you up, but this is just an example. If they turn on a microphone with another person, how many times over the course of 60 minutes they would stop it and say, edit that out, because they would constantly. And just so you guys know, we've never edited one show ever. We've never edited anything, and it's not because we're better than anybody. It's just understanding the fluidity of life, and that you're never gonna nail something out of the park, so you just go with it. So
great lesson, John.
It is, because when you talk to so many people have asked me, like, how the fuck do you guys do it? Like, and I explain, like, we don't prepare, like literally before we came on with what Cory read at the beginning was basically like, okay, we'll talk about that. Who knows how long this episode will go, but our episodes are usually between 40 minutes and an hour and 10 minutes. But it's like, ask yourself, how many times, if you were to run 60 minutes of audio, would you stop and say, I fucked that up?
You know what? Sometimes, Johnny, real talk, I take that for granted with me and you, that it's natural, right? Because we were having conversations like this early in our business career, working as partners anyway, that were lasting well over a half hour, which I never to talk to anybody over a half hour on the phone, not even my mom. Right. And they were deep, and that was like, and John really wasn't on social media at all. I was like, dude, this is it, man. We need to fucking turn the mics on. Like, this is the kind of shit people need. And I think I take that for granted, that we have that kind of chemistry sometimes. And people ask me the same thing a lot. And it's like, nah, man, like for 4.5 years, we've found, a couple bullet points, and we just do what's natural, and not editing things and over, worried about like if we flub up on something. Like, that was actually a huge lesson I brought up in my first, I'm back to Professor G, as I mentioned last episode, my first class for social media. I always post a thing on my Instagram kind of saying, hey, the class is starting, and it has the hashtag on it. And I kind of messed up saying certificate, just explaining, that I went to Columbus State. And I used that in my class. I was like, look, you guys watch my video. I tagged the same hashtag so I can grade the videos and everything. And if you notice, like, I didn't just kill that video. I just like re-announced the word and just kept moving. Like, people like would take 20 takes sometimes. And it's not because I'm amazing at video. It's just because I got past really caring, as long as it's not too terrible. Like, I'm just, I messed up, but you just keep it moving. So I think people are overcritical. I think their expectations are too high sometimes, and they put too much pressure on themselves. And I would say those 3 things right there probably lead to them creating a ceiling for themselves that they can never really bust through, because the reality is the expectation's so heavy, they can't even get to that ceiling, let alone break through it, because they're always disappointing themselves. Does that make sense, John?
100% makes sense. And I'll use Trey, who normally, helps us with production and produces this show, as an example. So I'll always mess with them about this. I mess with them about everything, because I like to stress test them to see how much.
John loves to poke motherfuckers.
Yeah, for sure, because it tells me if something I say is going to stop him from doing something because he's uncomfortable, then he doesn't have it. Right.
Yeah.
So what I like is he's doing this rap show or something, and he's talking about rap and whatever,
different genres of rap music and all kinds of different stuff. Yeah.
And for someone, who's 20 years old, who's kind of freestyling it, I know without knowing, there's a lot of, does this sound stupid? Do I look stupid? Are people going to look at the number of YouTube views and think I'm a loser? But at the end of the day, he's just doing it. So every time I talk to him, I bust his balls about the rap show.
You do too. I noticed that.
For sure. Because if that will make him stop doing the rap show, then he's never going to be successful doing the rap show.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Instead, you're mentioning the rap show because he's
what I'm really trying to do is try to help him like silence everyone. And I'm not telling him it's bad. I'm just messing with him about it. But I know it can make him uncomfortable and stuff. But like, you know, if he's steadfast and we're doing this and we're doing this, it doesn't matter. Is it perfect? No. Is this show perfect? No. But it's getting your brain out of this sphere of right and wrong, and just accepting what is. You know what I'm saying? So I think it comes back around. Okay, so if we're going more,
that's John's tough love,
for
basically.
Because I'd like to see him take his interest, clean it up, get it tight, and have some sort of show that works, right? Right now he's just trying and
trial by fire.
Right. But that's how it starts. You know, I know so many people. I was talking to someone last week about this, that they may have a job, they may be financially secure, but they don't fucking do something that's just like, right? So to use Trey again, he's talking about rap, right? So even if he's not being paid for it, like every week, that's something that's like in him, that, you know, he
loves it.
Right. Everybody wants to do that. But the difference between them and, I'll use Trey again, is they don't have the courage to do it, but they won't admit it to themselves. They won't admit it to themselves because they think I don't have any training in being on the mic. Is someone going to fact check me? All this self-doubt, listen, if you're a real estate fucking pro or a stock market pro or a fast food restaurant pro, and you want to go and have a podcast, here's my advice. Fucking sit the fuck down, quit being a bitch, get a microphone and record. And record. And record. You know what I'm saying? Your first episode is not going to be as good as your second. But that's the process. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know,
now, a great example, because, you know, if you're around Trey, he doesn't talk very much at all, even when you know him per se. Like I work with him all the time. Right. So like when I started seeing him do that, you can obviously see that is something he really heavy cares about. He can talk well about it because he's deep in it in his own spare time. And like, that's really pushing him outside of his, completely outside of his comfort zone. And so like, I gave him props on it a couple of times. Like, look, I don't all the way understand the things you're talking about or doing, but like, I understand, I think you as a person, and that right there is you're putting yourself out there, especially in that age group, Johnny, that 19 to 20, 21, which we're kind of around a lot with guys that work with us. They have a heavy problem with being out there because of, I think, maybe social media in high school and things of that. See,
judgment.
The judgment. I think with us, I didn't have any of that till I was already older. And by the time it was time to turn the camera on, I was already a pretty confident person with what I did. So I can't really say I super identify all the way, because I didn't have a chance to do these things when I was 20. Would I have? Probably, but I can't really tell you that definitively. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's a little bit of different for us, a little bit older. So I respect when guys do things outside the box like that. And if they can get out of not being judged in their head and overthinking it, which I kind of was surprised when he started doing it a little bit, knowing him, just because of that's how he operates. But I'm super proud of him. And the practice, he jumped on with us last episode or the episode before, and talked about these things and did really well. And the other day, whenever you left because you had to go to the bathroom, first time in 5-year history of business in Biceps or Activate Radio, John's like, I gotta take a piss. Trey jumps in, seamless, jumps out. And like that also, when you do things on your own and you're the producer, essentially pushes you. And then he probably didn't even realize, like, jumped in, no problem, boom, jump back out. That's all like small growth that people never experience because they're just so fucking scared.
Well, yeah, you're in the ball game, right? Your foot's in the water. So the way I look at it is like, okay, so if I really thought that like this is what Trey wants and he's got his foot in the water, I would take my time and try to, on the side, try to help him from what I learned. Now, do I have it perfect? No, but I've learned a lot and, have experience. So, but if you never put your foot in the water, you're never going to have the chance to even get tweaks. So if I look at his rap show, listen, there's that is rife with mistakes, right? But mistakes aren't bad. Like this show, there's mistakes. There's mistakes. So it's subjective. So what I'm saying is the fact,
and it all is subjective. You're right. That's the other thing. You might think it's a mistake, but some other guy might not think it's a mistake.
Correct. And the fact that it's imperfect, but that imperfection doesn't stop him from doing it, is what I respect more than anything. Even if I think the content sucks or this or that, which I don't. But even if I thought that, if he keeps doing it,
you still respect it.
That's what I respect, and that's when I would actually go out of my way on my own time to say, "Hey, here's a couple things I saw that may help you." You know what I'm saying? Which I would never do. I would never do if someone just keeps telling me, right? Don't tell anybody what you're going to do. Go do it. And if the show is raw or whatever, everything's raw at the beginning, dude. Everything's when you were in high school and college, what did you have to write before you submitted your paper? A rough draft. Right?
That, by the way, had a lot of mistakes in it, especially if it was me.
The
guy who can't spell.
So it's a rough draft. So everything's a rough draft, and in life, I don't really think there is a final copy because you're always editing it.
Dope, Johnny. That's a mic dropper right there, bro.
Ooh, I'm a rapper today.
Yeah, that's good, dude. That was a bar for sure, homie.
Yeah, it was a bar, dog. I don't even know what the fuck that means. I don't even know what that means. You want a candy bar?
Yeah, I do want a candy bar.
I do too.
That's a fact.
Eminem Mars.
Completely off subject, but this is one thing I was pretty impressed about last night. So, Friday nights I drink Guinness and I go down to pour beer. And what have we been quarantined? Maybe 2 months, roughly?
Yeah, sure.
Roughly. Yeah. Okay. Me and Ray drink a keg. Straight up.
Oh, in 2 months.
In 2 months, which I know isn't, but I don't even know how many beers. Maybe
it's 100 and a lot of experience here.
Yeah. Fact check.
I think 166 beers, maybe.
Okay, so it might be less if you drink it in pints, but either way, the fact of
166 12 ounces, let's say.
Yeah. Okay. So I just thought that was pretty impressive that me and my wife drank a keg of beer in 2 months in my basement.
There you go.
Because it's not like I was having any parties.
Right.
So, So I go to pour it and I was like, it's like choking. I grab it and I can lift it up with one finger. I'm like, there it is, dude. Fosco would be proud. Come on, dog. So anyway, but look, I think that
a lot of kegs,
I think at the end of the day, part of the reason that we've been able to ascend to the part of success that we've had is because along the way, we've messed up all kinds of stuff, but we never let it get us down at all or for very long. Because I got to tell you, whenever our business at Muscle Farm is growing and quadrupling year after year and doing all that crazy stuff, you think we learned anything by that? Because guess what? When shit's fucking banging, sales is going, it covers up all the fucking bullshit, bro, because that's all anyone cares about. You know what? And people try to fix little things, but you know what? When the top number keeps rolling, all that shit gets put on the side until shit gets real fucking difficult and you have to really fucking dig deep and look through things and things aren't working anymore. And then that's when you start to really see mistakes and have to get past them. And when shit's going good and sales are rolling and touchdowns are being made, like no one's overthinking the offense or overthinking the thing. Like it's just, you know what I mean? Like all those things cover everything up. So you're blinded by the success. It's just part of it. Like you can try to think critically, you can try to, but at the end of the day, like everyone's seeing this thing. It's just going da, 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 da. So I think that, the biggest thing I learned is when it didn't work as well anymore, when there was a bunch of fucking problems, when I even left and then had to restart over and understand the mistakes that I made or saw being made, I just would not fucking do again. And I'm just not, and it's absolutely taught me a ton. And there's no way I would have had then successful businesses after if I didn't learn the fucking lesson. Like if I just went and did it all again, if me and John started Max Effort and I was like, let's go raise money, let's go do. No, dude, no. I didn't even follow any part of the same path. It's literally completely different. Right, John? Like, huge
what's interesting is like, okay, so in the realm of business, if we're talking about mistakes, I think a mistake probably 90+%, if not more, of business people make and businesses make is they're too greedy. And if you're selling your product and your margin is very, very healthy, you're not entertaining the thought of cutting your margin down to get more quantity or to give more to your customer. You just kind of get stuck in this, oh shit, okay, we're cleaning house. Cleaning house only lasts for so long unless you're a select few that has amazing intellectual property.
Some IP you can't get anywhere else.
Correct. But when I look at, okay, so, and here's straight talk, we're gonna be up, pandemic, supply shortage, Max Effort for the month of May is going to be up about 35%. Okay.
I saw that. We didn't talk about this before the show, but I was going to bring it up after. I went there this morning and was looking. Yeah,
it's going to be up about 35%. And I can tell you that from a product standpoint, we've probably, from an inventory, we're a normal baseline of 100%. We've been at about 20%.
As of yesterday, and it's gone.
and we're going to be up 35%. So what's the point? The point is that, we've been doing this now for almost 5 years, and we had periods where we made mistakes. And I think a mistake that we realized is that we weren't giving enough to our customers. This is a very, 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 just like I'm sure anyone listening could say the same about it's a very crowded space, and nutritional products, nutritional supplements are found everywhere. So we had to make a decision to give more. And all I want to say is we have the best customers, man. We really do, because when we put out our product and to see the response, you know what I'm saying? It's like we knew we had to give more. I think the customer appreciates that. I love the thinking in my head and believing that we give more than any other company. You know what I'm saying? And then to see the response on, let's say, a 25% level of product, and to see us being up so drastically during a time where people are losing their jobs, all this stuff. We have the best customers, you know what I'm saying? And that's why we're going to keep giving. So we made mistakes by not giving more earlier, but you know what we did? We adjusted.
Yeah. We talked about it all the time. We're like, we're off somewhere. There's a percentage, like we're making a mistake. Me and John had this conversation a million times.
Oh, like, a million times.
You're like, we know there's a number that has to be given in, and also at certain parts of the year, it changes a little bit too. We even see like what a hoodie for free over top of a t-shirt, and times that like there's all these little things that you go over. It's interesting, but being in the vein of giving more, appreciation.
How do you make people feel like they are truly appreciated?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think I know that's what, you pride yourself in, and that's what, this business is. But it's like, we're on a mission to make people know, even if nobody talks to you, right? You feel appreciated because you're just given more than you bought or you think you deserve. That's a winning mindset. That's a winning business model, and that model came from maybe a little greediness early on. But you know what? We learned our fucking lesson.
Well, and I think too, John, that when you, in our mind as product creators, we over deliver. We believe, obviously, with taste and mixability and efficacy with the product working. It's like so, but that's not enough anymore. That's not enough anymore. Like,
no way.
You know what I mean? Even though I believe our shit tastes way better than everyone else's, I believe the application that we provide, people understanding, the customer service, like all of those things, right? But it's not enough anymore because of all the competition. So then it has to be, I love seeing these pictures when guys tag us and they got literally a wardrobe
Right.
from joggers to shoes to hoodies, t-shirts, tank tops. Like, we basically outfit their entire workout wardrobe.
And they ain't paying for it. That's
my point, right? And so literally a closet. Like, I had motherfuckers be like, yo, when's the shakers coming back? Because my wife doesn't want me to have any more Max Effort t-shirts. Like, that's funny, but I like hearing that because no one else is giving them that, bro. And by the way, they're nice. You wear them all. We wear them all the time to train in or out or whatever.
What am I wearing right now?
Right now. So
and I'm looking like a fucking
boss, bro. Box logo, homie.
Forget about it.
So it's like one of those things where I take pride in that stuff. And I don't know what the number is, but we should definitely look it up, I'm sure, of how many actual apparel items have been given. I bet it's staggering, Fosco, in the last 5 years.
Oh,
right? Like, we should get that number just because that would be cool to know. I don't know it offhand, but it'd be staggering.
It's an enormous number.
It's an enormous number. So me and you, we should dig it and see what that is, because that would be very interesting, right? It's got to be over 100,000 items, isn't it?
Oh, dude, way more than that.
Yeah.
Way more than that. Like, way more than that. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's serious, bro.
Oh, absolutely. I would, it's deep into this 6 figures for sure. But I just think, like, be critical of yourself, like, separate being critical of yourself and saying, I did something wrong. Like what me and Cory were just talking about. We didn't listen, our business has always been in good shape. Mm-hmm. We didn't have to be critical. But guys, that's how you last. So here, when things get tough in business, what do businesses do? Businesses, what are we doing wrong? What are we missing? Okay. When things are going good in businesses, the mistake people make is they think that good time is going to last.
Yeah.
And it's not. You need to be thinking the same thing when things are going well.
Yeah. But it's hard to do that, though. You got to be disciplined to do that, Johnny. But you're right, 100%.
But if you want to be in it for the long haul, like, yes. I don't want to make money for 4 years of my life and then just I want these things like to have value. Mm-hmm. So I can, basically set up my life based on things that, I've helped build and cultivated and all these things. So it's like, dude, this, again, if you're in for the long game, not the short game, when things are good, you need to be in the same. It's not a panic mindset. No. It's how do we maintain and grow? And more often than not, the answer is find ways to give more.
Yeah. So I got a great example as you were talking, Johnny. So same type of thing with my site. It experienced a good bit of growth during the pandemic. Obviously, there was a lot of people that needed home workouts. And what I realized and what I adapted to was I didn't have enough options. I just didn't have enough options. That there was people. So once again, I had to give more for the same amount of money, right? Like, people needed band workouts. They needed dumbbell only workouts. Some people still had access to a gym. They needed body weight workouts only. Like, I didn't have enough options. Now I have to continue that to cover. The coverage now is way wider, right? So it's a bigger net, which means more people can take part in it. I was limiting myself, maybe because of my own likes. I was just producing what I like, which has worked for me but guess what? A lot of people don't like extreme motherfucker. Like, they don't like it as extreme. They like the thought process of where maybe I can help them get to, but they can't or want to do what I do. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that was one of the things that I learned majorly over. I was like, I'm just not given enough options. That's just the fucking truth. Like, and in one that takes a lot more time, no question. And as I doubled down, I experienced good results on it. But in one way, even though it was been successful, I could be like, yo, I missed that for a long time. I've been also in business with that business for 5 years. So it's like, it was a mistake to not bring that up earlier. The pandemic, understanding that in the pandemic and adapting is what then led to the growth though. So I think that, you can be in this game, dude. I've been creating content around fitness forever. We've been selling supplements for, over 5 years, and I sold 5 to 7 years before that. You're still uncovering stuff that you're missing or want to change or want to fix. That doesn't really change ever.
Dude, no, because industries are always evolving because there's smart people in them. And there's always new consumer demand. Things, this everything changes. So what? Here's what's interesting. What looks to be 2 years ago, or what looked to be the opposite of a mistake, looked to be a great decision. In hindsight, in business, it could have been a mistake. Just because you got the money for 6 months, it could have a fucking, a domino effect where it takes you out 3 years later. So we have to put this in perspective. But listen, if this conversation is going with how do you, look at other mistakes in life, and how do you recover from them? I just think I think before you're ready to lead or ready to take charge in a business and push your ideas, you have to fix as much as you can your mistakes, because your mistakes, if you are the leader, the business is an extension of you. The business takes on a personality like yours, and if you have these issues, these personality traits that end up causing mistakes to be made outside of business, that you're going to bring them into business. So I think a big part of like something you need to do before you go into business is clearing yourself as much as you can, because the business will take on your personality traits.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way it is, especially if you're the main driver, right, John? It's
Yeah, I mean, because if people are looking up at you, you know what I'm saying? They're saying, okay, that's how you do it. Sure, there are some free thinkers out there who will, slice and dice you, but most people are looking up and say, okay, that's how you do it. If you have a horrible, outlook on something, and you come in negative, and those are mistakes that have to be remedied. You know what I'm saying? And again, the answer isn't beating yourself up. The answer is figuring it out so you can give your business like a fucking positive vibe at all times. But don't think you can run a business or have people work for you and your personality is not going to rub off on the businesses. Have personality. That's what brands are. Think about Nike, when you think about Nike, like something just popped in your head. When I said Nike, something popped in your head, right? Like it has a personality. You know what I'm saying? And for way smaller businesses, a lot, it's the same thing. But attitude for smaller businesses, definitely. Think about local restaurants, right? Like there's restaurants with, man, the fucking service is lights out. Oh, they're fucking assholes there. That is a reflection of the owner or the operator, 100%. Because if they tolerate that stuff, you're going to get shitty service. If they train people like Starbucks, you know what I'm saying? Like we're looking for smiles. Okay, you need to fucking smile if you want to work here. If they train them like that, you're going to feel that. So don't overlook that.
No, it's massive, man. I'll tell you what. I was just thinking about like, I think the key is I always felt confident I would figure a solution out after the mistake or along the way. And I think maybe that's why I never took a lot of value or really beat myself up terribly about certain things, because I was like, even if I fuck something up or John fucks something up, we're going to figure out a solution because we have no choice. That's what you do as entrepreneurs. And more having like a solution-based thought process will help a lot of this, not in confident that you'll figure it out. Not
that's our job. If you were to say that, what's our number one job? It's solution finding.
Right?
Like solution finding and decision making, but those go hand in hand. They click. Like that's our job, really.
And I think people that completely beat themselves up constantly about the mistakes maybe need to be more focused on that it's going to happen. And I need to be more of a solution person to the mistake or the problem or the strategy that's a little off. And then you work day and night to figure it out. Just like when John lived here, we had a period of time at Max and we were figuring a lot of stuff out. And me and him was in the room staring at each other for days and weeks and months trying to figure it out. And it wasn't that fucking fun at times. Actually, we had a couple times where we both got pissed or whatever. I mean, just because we were fucking in the trenches trying to figure it out. But our relationship as business men, I think, grew together during that time. The business grew. A lot of great solutions came from that.
Thing.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we fixed it.
Right.
And then literally came out of it on fire. Right.
Correct.
And so it's one of those things where understanding that if you're rationally thinking, you're a creative person, you're really about what you do, you have to have confidence that you can figure out. You have to be okay, once again, with the unseen, to know that you have faith in yourself to go and figure it out. And I think maybe that's another reason why I know mistakes are going to happen. I'm going to make them, but I'm going to fix it after the fact, and we just keep it moving. Maybe that's how I've dealt with it over these years, and others maybe don't have that confidence of the solution part. But
I think it's the speed the brain processes a problem and just says, okay, the time of bitching, moaning, okay, that time is going to be 3 seconds.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, right.
And then after 3 seconds, we're going to sit down. We're not going to be mad at each other. We're going to be focused, and we're going to be really intentional about what the solution is.
Yeah,
because people like to wallow in the unfortunate things, the things they're upset about, the mistakes. I think that's the difference maker between people who constantly find a way or succeed versus the others. I mean, the amount of time,
short memory,
or you're going to sit there and think about how bad it is it honestly doesn't exist. It's just what's the answer. And if we have it, we're going to spend time to figure it out.
I did a daily fire called Don't Lock in the Loss. And I think that I got a lot of good feedback from it because it was staying in that vein, Johnny. And it just hinders you so bad because it's almost like you're keeping it alive. No one else is keeping it alive. You know what I'm saying? Like it has to die and you got to move on, whatever that mistake was. When you lock in that mentality, that loss. And I use the example of like, if I locked in how I felt the day that I essentially quit MP instead of the next day, or like at least about a week later. I mean, that was like a 10-year thing. So it took me a couple of days, but when I got up renewed, like, man, clean slate, all kinds of opportunity, new business potential partners, like all these like fun, exciting things. But if I only locked in, oh man, I wish I would have done this and I should have done that. And
it didn't live up to my expectations.
Exactly. Because all those things are true. But if I only went forward, locking in that loss per se, and not looking at like, wait a second, my opportunity is massive here. There's a lot of motherfuckers that know me now, right? Like I got an opportunity to work with a great business guy that I worked with before, across the table. Now we on the same side. Like, dude, there was so much excitement instead of so much, should have went this way. Yo, motherfucker, it's over. I mean, so I really, because I think for about a week, I kind of felt that way because that was a long period of time I spent in that whole thing. And I remember talking to Rachel, and then finally I woke up and I just felt real renewed. And I was like, you know what? I'm done with it. I can't lock that in, keep it moving. And that right there, since that day, I've really felt like that was a huge way to kind of have that outlook, short memory, just like in golf. You have one bad shot. If you lock that in, man, you hit 25 bad shots in a row. You got to have a short memory.
I mean, honestly, even though I'm terrible at it, golf is a great comparison to life because you have to have a short memory for again,
right?
For the good and the bad, because guess what? You got to take another swing.
How many times have you laced a drive, Johnny? 300, and then you go up the sand wedge it and hit it sideways, right?
Yeah, I four put out on the green, Yeah. So yeah, no, but that's exactly right. You know what I'm saying? So you could hit a great shot, you could hit a horrible shot. By the time you go to take that next swing, whatever you did, you better be present. You know?
Yeah, facts. I like it. Good episode, John. I think this conversation was cool, bro.
For sure. Yeah, I agree 100%.
Hey, make sure you guys give us 5-star rating, amazing review over on iTunes. Lock in some good stuff for us over there, because a lot of people reading about us right now because number 9 overall all time of entrepreneurship on iTunes.
Number
just
9.
saying.
Yeah, and
all time.
What Cory Gregory says, if you like it, share it out for me.
Yeah, boy. John, I know you like my little jingle. It's okay.
I do. I do. That's why I said it.
I know. I'm just fucking with you. All right, listen, Johnny Fosco.
Oh, real quick before we end.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I don't know why this just popped into my head.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't even know why I want to talk about this, but it was amazing. Okay, so so for everyone who I haven't said this clearly to them, where I record is haunted. Like,
yes.
like legitimately. You probably think I'm crazy, but yesterday, Cory, I was in the back room, and I know you know where that is.
Yeah.
And I was talking to someone, and I asked them their opinion on something, and there's this big glass jar, and I asked the person the opinion, and all of a sudden the glass jar starts leaning, and then it starts banging against the wall like it was answering my question. Okay, everyone is thinking I'm crazy right now. Like maybe one episode we'll get into it.
I was saying, John, if you
I've never seen anything like a jar lean over and go like bang, bang, bang. Bro,
we need to do so what we need to do, John, is a complete paranormal episode. Dude, and have you explain from when you're a kid all the way till now, and I can be the eyewitness. Yes. We're going to let paranormalconnection.com come true for one episode. That's got to be part of it. But what I can do is be the eyewitness of what I saw on your cell phone, which I don't know how many other people you ever showed it to, but I'll never forget it. And maybe we should talk about that next episode because that shit was crazy. I know we talked about it once, but if we do a whole episode on that, first off, when it comes across people's screens on their podcast out there, and be like, "Oh, fuck are these guys talking about?" I think they'll be intrigued by it though.
Yeah, and before we go, and I told you this, Cory, last week. So a week ago when we were doing an episode, not only did my computer get thrown at me,
but I remember that.
Yes, but just so you guys know, we call the ghost Randall. I don't know why we just called him Randall. I think Randall Cunningham popped in my head. But after my computer was thrown at me during while we were recording, I started hearing in my headphones, I swear to God, for like 5 minutes, I started hearing this. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Is this like an internet thing? And I'm like, okay. I just got my Did I say something to offend Randall? But yeah, so that's what's cracking. But yeah, it legitimately haunted. So
we need to do an episode on it. It'd be fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. Paranormalconnection.com. Johnny Fosco! Can the podcast be stopped?
The podcast
can't be stopped.